It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage.
For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory.
Here it is, the brand new home of the Indianapolis Colts, the Hoosier Dome. And those folks you see, why, they're Hoosiers, Indiana natives who are busting their buttons over their new NFL team. Why are they called Hoosiers? Nobody knows. Maybe that's a topic of discussion between Colt coach Frank Kush and Cardinal boss Jim Hannafin. More likely, these fellows are talking about the game between their respective teams, both of which picked up their initial 1984 victory last week. Today, both clubs are eager to extend their winning streaks under the dome with an unusual name, calling on players with names a little more commonplace. The Cards have two Smiths, but only one Green, and that guy is Roy Green, their ace all-pro wide receiver. Roy is eager to test the new turf at Indianapolis, as is Green's passing partner, quarterback Neil Lomax. Last season, Lomax and Green clicked on 14 touchdown plays, and already this year they struck twice for scores. Some pretty fair numbers were posted last week by the Colts quarterback Mike Pagel, who passed for 3 touchdowns against the Oilers. He'll be trying to do the same today as the Colts strive for their first win ever at home for their Hoosier followers. No chance to figure out where that name came from now. It's time for pro football from Indianapolis. The Cardinals and Colts on the NFL Game of the Week. Last year, the Redbird Rush was the busiest in pro football with 60 quarterback sacks. The front line of Baker, Duda, Galloway, Grooms, and Greer may sound like a law firm, but there is nothing orderly about the way they hit quarterbacks or shut down the run. The Colts found that out in the early going as neither the ground or air game picked up much yardage. In the first half alone, the Cardinals sacked Mike Pagel 3 times, while St. Louis counterpart Neil Lomax had enough time to fire deep to his receivers. Unfortunately for St. Louis, the plays did not come out the way they did back on the drawing board. Number 45, James Burrows, broke up this pattern, then set up the game's first score with a first-quarter interception. Now Pagel had to find a way to neutralize the Redbird Rush. He found the answer with his own 2 feet. Pagel juked his way for a 21-yard pickup, then let the team's leading rusher do the rest as the Colts took an early lead. Number 33, Curtis Dickey, is the point man of the Indianapolis attack. Stop him and the Colts are in trouble. But St. Louis could not contain Dickey's impressive breakaway speed, and the result was a 7-0 advantage as the first period came to a close. The key play on the score, a block from number 32, Randy McMillan, on an incoming linebacker. From there, it was just Dickey, doing what he does best. What the Cardinals do best is rush the passer, and they continued to pursue Pagel throughout the first half. It would not be until much later that the Colts finally started to control the St. Louis front four. For now, the constant pressure was producing sacks, and soon they brought about an even more desired result for St. Louis, a Colt turnover that got the Birds back in the ballgame. Number 44, Wayne Smith, conveniently placed the Cards in a nice spot deep in Colt territory. Now it was time for St. Louis to unveil its fine running back, O.J. Anderson. Once Lomax got out of trouble, O.J. was able to negotiate all the yardage necessary to tie up the ballgame. First, Anderson picked up a bunch as a receiver. Then he broke off left tackle and didn't stop until he scored. The game had started out as a nasty little peer fight between the defenses, but now a full-fledged scoring barrage was about to break loose. It was the St. Louis defense that brought about the next score when Mike Pagel ran into the familiar grip of the Cardinal front four again. The hit by number 75, Curtis Greer, did more than drop Pagel. It sent the pass directly into the waiting arms of strong safety Leonard Smith, number 45, who then cruised in to give the Cardinals their first lead of the game. When Smith finally returned for his curtain call, he rightfully celebrated St. Louis's good fortune. But he knew that it was the Cardinal rush that was making everything else work defensively. The Colts didn't have to play a desperation game. Plenty of time was left. The run was the answer. Try to make St. Louis play honest by at least thinking a run might be coming. The first step in that direction was Pagel's play-action fake that finally gave him some time to complete a pass. Tight end Dave Young made a good gain. But then Dickey made an even better one when his implied threat to run fooled St. Louis and gave the Colts a very easy touchdown. Tracy Porter galloped 63 yards for the score, and a host of happy Hoosiers erupted. It was the longest play by a Colt wide receiver in over 2 years, and it put Indianapolis back into a tie. The play also seemed to energize the Colt defense, who suddenly came on like gangbusters. St. Louis was checked on the ground, so Lomax tried to pass. And for the second time in the half, cornerback James Burrows foiled the Cardinals' strategy. Burrows had only 2 interceptions all of last season, and now his second theft of the game effectively stopped the Cards' offense for the rest of the half. Meanwhile, Pagel was starting to find his range. The maturing Mike had enjoyed his best day as a pro in the previous game against Houston, and now he put together a very tidy 2-minute offense that had the Cardinals backpedaling on their heels. After Matt Booza's sideline catch, kicker Dean Biasucci connected on a chip shot field goal, and Indianapolis regained a lead they would keep through halftime. The underdog Colts were surprisingly ahead after 30 minutes, but they knew that the Cardinals could change that in a hurry. That would become all too clear before the day was over. second half began with the Cardinals looking to establish their ground game, and that meant O.J. Anderson. Following a first half in which he rushed for 48 yards, number 32 is anticipating his first 100-yard day of the young season. Three powerful Anderson surges and a sideline strike from Neil Lomax to Roy Green established the rhythm of the St. Louis offense. It was then that Lomax decided to go deep against the vulnerable Colts secondary. With a sure touchdown, a simple catch away, Green dropped the ball. Yes, the same Roy Green who tied for the NFC lead in receptions with 78 a year ago. But the marvelous Mr. Green would be back before this game was over, and in a very big way. Most people feel that the Colts have a quarterback problem, but Mike Pagel has been very solid in the early part of 1984 and had perhaps his finest all-around game as a pro in the victory over Houston 2 weeks ago. Against St. Louis, Pagel mixed the quick inside running of Curtis Dickey with a short passing game, and number 18 demonstrated the mobility that makes him more effective on the move. Tracy Porter's catch gave the fourth-year receiver over 100 yards in a game for the first time in his career, and the completion put the Colts in position to score their third touchdown of the game. But a blitz by Cardinals linebacker Bob Harris, number 50, ended any hope of 6 points, and Indianapolis was forced to settle for the field goal attempt. Dean Biasucci, filling in for an injured Raul Allegre, booted a 50-yarder with plenty to spare, and the Colts, with 11 minutes having gone by in the third period, increased their lead to 20-14. The Cardinals came right back to match Indianapolis's score. A blitz by number 56 Vernon Maxwell had no effect at all, as Lomax hit O.J. Anderson on the right side for 14 yards. Then the St. Louis quarterback went to Roy Green, who is slowly but surely becoming a force in this tightly contested game. Green's 24-yard reception was the key play in a St. Louis drive that ended with a Neil O'Donoghue field goal of 47 yards. Like Green, the slender Cardinal kicker would have much more to say about the outcome. But for now, his kick made it 20-17 Indianapolis late in the third quarter. It was a score that did not last very long. On the kickoff following the field goal, the final play of period 3, Phil Smith, number 86, a second-year wide receiver from San Diego State, raced 96 yards untouched for an Indianapolis touchdown. Smith's sprint electrified both the crowd and his teammates, and the end zone celebration that followed symbolized the fact that this Colts team, written off by most after a very respectable 7-9 1983 season, is hungry to prove that they can play with the so-called big boys of the NFL. The missed extra point left the Colts with a 26-17 advantage entering the final quarter. It was a point that would prove to be quite important down the road. But the present concerned Cardinals coach Jim Hanifin. His explosive offense was not producing big plays, but that changed in a hurry on St. Louis's next possession. Following a tough O.J. Anderson run of 14 yards, Lomax executed a pump fake brilliantly and hit a wide-open Roy Green for a 47-yard touchdown. Green was not about to drop this perfectly thrown ball as the Cardinals struck back in just over a minute. cutting Indianapolis's lead to 26-24. The Cardinals were fighting back against a Colts team that was supposed to cause few problems for Jim Hanifin's NFC Eastern Division contenders. Following Green's score, defense took control for a short spell in the fourth period. First, the Cardinals stopped Mike Pagel on a 3rd and 1, apparently diffusing the spark that Indianapolis had played with all game long. But Tate Randall, number 35, a reserve defensive back, picked off an errant Lomax toss and returned it 54 yards to the St. Louis 8-yard line. Randall's interception swung the tide back in Indianapolis's favor, and the Colts capitalized on the opportunity. 3 plays later, Pagel rolled out and found tight end Dave Young in the end zone for the score, and a 33-24 lead. Midway through period 4, the Colts appeared to be in command. They led by 9. Their defense had risen to the occasion on St. Louis's previous possession, and they would do so again. Vernon Maxwell blitz blindsided Lomax, and the Cardinals quarterback was lucky to recover his own fumble. The Colts defense had stopped St. Louis. With just over 6 minutes remaining in the game, a 9-point lead and the ball, the Colts could be excused for doing a little celebrating. Their offense, led by Curtis Dickey, who had rushed for over 100 yards, was strong when it came to ball control. And number 33 got the expected call. Dickey picked up 1 first down, but it was a 3rd down pass from Pagel to Raymond Butler that seemed to alter the game's outlook. The officials ruled that Butler caught the ball out of bounds, forcing an Indianapolis punt. It did not take long for Roy Green to perform his magic, and number 81 did it with style. Green's second touchdown of the game gave him 8 catches for 183 yards, 176 of those in the second half. It was an incredible performance by one of the NFL's finest athletes. But most importantly, it cut the Colts' lead to 2, 33-31, with still more than 3 minutes remaining to play. The Cardinals, needing only a field goal to win, got that chance. Their defense held Indianapolis, and O.J. Anderson, registering his initial 100-yard game of 1984, ripped off 18 yards around left end. And St. Louis was at the Colts' 28-yard line with less than a minute to play in this frenzied contest. With the time ticking away, it was time for Neil O'Donohue. It was do or die for the Cardinals' place kicker. And from 46 yards away, he was not looking at a chip shot. O'Donohue calmly split the uprights, and the Cardinals escaped with a 34-33 last-second victory over the surprisingly tough Indianapolis Colts. Although St. Louis pulled it out, the game was perhaps more important in the long run for the Colts. For a team with supposedly little offense, they scored over 30 points for the second week in a row. Indianapolis may yet earn respect around the NFL. was the Cardinals, who earned their second straight victory after an opening day defeat. It appears they have avoided the slow start that has plagued them in recent years. The final score, St. Louis 34, Indianapolis 33.